I need to tell someone about this. I still can't sleep properly, and it's been 3 months now. My therapist says writing it down might help, but honestly, I need people to know what happened on that cruise. So my wife Sarah and we booked this Caribbean cruise for our 10th anniversary. Neither of us are big cruise people, but the deal was too good to pass up. 7 days, all-inclusive, stops at 3 different islands. We're not rich or anything, so this felt like a big splurge for us. The first couple days were fine. Normal cruise stuff. Buffets, shows, the pool deck. Our cabin was small but clean. Interior room, no window, but whatever. We were barely in there anyway except to sleep. On day 3, though, Sarah noticed something weird. She always hangs our bathroom towels in this specific way, like folded over the bar with the tags facing the wall. It's just her thing, you know? OCD maybe, but harmless. That morning, she swore the towels were hung differently. I told her housekeeping probably just did it their own way. She seemed annoyed, but dropped it. That night, I went to brush my teeth, and there was a glass in the sink. One of those plastic cups they give you in the cabin. But here's the thing. We'd both used coffee mugs that morning. Neither of us touched those plastic cups. I asked Sarah about it, and she looked at me like I was crazy. Said housekeeping probably left it there. Made sense, I guess. But then more stuff started happening. Sarah's hairbrush moved from the left side of the counter to the right. The TV remote was on the opposite nightstand. Small things. Things you could explain away as just forgetting or housekeeping moving stuff around. But it kept happening. Every single day something was different. I mentioned it to this guy at the pool bar on day 5. Mark, I think his name was. From Ohio. He laughed and said his girlfriend noticed the same thing. Their shower curtain kept being pulled to the wrong side, even though she always left it pushed open to dry. He made a joke about cruise ship ghosts and ordered another beer. The cameras were everywhere on that ship. Hallways, elevator lobbies, the main deck. They tell you it's for safety and security. Watch your kids, prevent theft, that sort of thing. Makes sense on a ship with 3,000 passengers. I never really thought about it until later. On day 6, we met this crew member, Louise. He worked in maintenance, fixing broken AC units and clogged toilets. We got to talking at the late-night buffet, the one they keep open until 2 a.m. He seemed nervous, kept looking around while we talked. He asked if we were enjoying our trip. Standard small talk. But then he said something that made me pause. He asked if we'd noticed anything off in our cabin. I froze. Sarah kicked me under the table, but I asked him what he meant. Louise got really quiet. He leaned in close and said there was the supervisor, worked the night shift in security. Off duty most nights now after some kind of incident, but before that, this guy would take the hallway camera feeds and watch them, loop them into his office on a private monitor. Louise used the word entertainment and made air quotes with his fingers. I didn't know what to say. Entertainment? Like just watching people walk down hallways? Louise shook his head, said the cameras could pivot, zoom, and some of the cabin doors had those little windows at the top, the kind you can see out of if you stand on your toes. Most people kept their curtains over them, but not everyone remembered. Sarah looked sick. She grabbed my hand under the table and squeezed hard. I asked Louise if he was serious, and he just nodded. Then he got up, said he'd already said too much, and left. We never saw him again the rest of the trip. I couldn't sleep that night. I kept thinking about our cabin curtain, that little window above our door. Had we been closing it every night? I couldn't remember. Sarah was sure we had, but I wasn't. The next morning was our last day before disembarkation. We were packing up our stuff when I found something. A tablet. one of those cheap Android ones. It was shoved under the bed, way in the back corner near the wall. At first, I thought it belonged to a previous passenger. People forget stuff all the time. But the battery still had charge. I turned it on. There were photos. Hundreds of them. Screenshots from camera feeds, timestamps in the corners, dates going back month. Different cabins, different people. Some shots were just hallways, but others were zoomed in on those little cabin windows, people getting dressed, couples in bed, someone brushing their teeth, faces frozen in the worst moments of privacy. My hands started shaking. I showed Sarah, and she actually gasped out loud. We flipped through more of them. The photos had file names, cabin numbers, and dates. I recognized some of the hallway angles from our own floor. I wanted to turn that tablet in immediately, but Sarah said we should look through it first, make sure we understood what we were dealing with. So we sat there on our packed suitcases and went through the whole thing. That's when we found the folder labeled Highlights. I'm going to stop here because just thinking about what was in that folder makes me feel sick again. Part 2 coming next because I need a break. I've put this off long enough, time to finish this. So that folder, the Highlights folder, it had maybe 40 or 50 images in it. But these weren't just random screenshots like the others. These were selected, carefully chosen moments. The file names had comments attached. Crude stuff, sexual stuff, rating women's bodies, mocking people. There was this one photo of an older couple and the comment said something about saggy, and I can't even repeat the rest. Each photo had a number next to it, like a score, 1 through 10. Sarah started crying when she realized what we were looking at. This wasn't just surveillance. This was entertainment for someone. Multiple someones maybe? The comments had different writing styles like different people had added to the collection. I remembered what Louise said about that supervisor. The entertainment comment made horrible sense now. We packed that tablet in Sarah's carry-on bag and headed straight to guest services. There was a line, of course. There's always a line on disembarkation day. Everyone settling bills and asking last-minute questions. We waited for probably 20 minutes, and my leg wouldn't stop bouncing the whole time. When we finally got to the counter, I pulled out the tablet and explained where we found it. The woman behind the desk, her name tag said Jennifer. She looked confused at first, then concerned. She took the tablet and asked us to wait while she got a manager. The manager came out 15 minutes later. Older guy, probably mid-50s, wearing the white uniform that meant he was someone important. He introduced himself as Hotel Director Richards, or Richardson, something like that. We explained everything again, showed him the photos, told him about Louise and what he'd said about the security supervisor. Richards' face went completely blank, like a mask dropped over it. He thanked us very calmly and said they would investigate this thoroughly. Then he said something that made my skin crawl. He said there were no public cameras inside cabins, only in hallways and public spaces, as if that made what we'd found okay somehow. I told him these weren't inside cabins. These were through cabin windows, people who forgot to close their curtains. He nodded slowly and repeated that they would investigate. Then he asked us not to discuss this with other passengers, said it could cause unnecessary panic. The way he said unnecessary really bothered me. We left the ship that morning feeling wrong about everything. The whole flight home, Sarah barely spoke. We both knew we should have done more. Should have demanded to speak to actual police or Coast Guard or someone. But we were tired and confused, and honestly, we just wanted to get off that floating hotel. About 2 weeks later, I got a call from a cruise line representative. Very polite, very corporate. She thanked me for bringing the tablet to their attention. Said they'd conducted an internal investigation and found that one employee had been misusing security equipment. He'd been terminated immediately. She assured me this was an isolated incident, and they'd implemented new security protocols. Then she asked if I'd received the refund and onboard credit they'd issued to our account as an apology. I hadn't checked. Turns out they'd refunded half our cruise fare and given us credit for a future cruise. Like that would make us want to go back. I asked about criminal charges. She got quiet for a second, then said the employee no longer worked for them, and they considered the matter resolved internally. I pushed harder, and she said if I wanted to pursue legal action, I could contact their legal department. But these matters were typically handled through arbitration because of the agreement we'd signed when we booked. That's when I started digging online, posted about it on a cruise forum asking if anyone else had experienced anything weird. The responses came flooding in. A woman from Texas said she'd noticed her cabin curtain moved every single night of her cruise 6 months ago. A couple from Canada found their laptop open to their email when they'd definitely closed it. A solo traveler said she felt watched the entire trip and requested a cabin change, but was told the ship was fully booked. Then someone sent me a link, a private Facebook group for cruise ship crew members. Someone had leaked screenshots from an internal crew chat app. The messages went back almost 2 years. Dozens of crew members sharing photos, calling it the nightly show and cabin TV, and they had running jokes about it, nicknames for regular passengers, a ranking system. The photos had comments underneath. Nice catch, and Cabin 704 2 leaves her curtain open every night like clockwork, and worse things I won't repeat here. There was a tally being kept. Who'd been watched most? Which decks had the best views? I felt sick reading it. Sarah threw up when I showed her. These weren't just random crew members either. The chat included security staff, housekeeping, even some of the entertainment crew. People we'd probably walked past and smiled at. The story went semi-public after that leak. A few news sites picked it up but treated it like a minor scandal. The cruise line issued a statement calling it inappropriate behavior by a small number of employees and said they'd implemented additional privacy training. They fired maybe 6 or 7 people total. No criminal charges, no real investigation that I know of, but it got worse. About a month ago, Sarah got a notification that her email address had been used to create a profile on some dating site. She never signed up for it. The profile had photos that looked like they'd been taken from a distance. Grainy shots of her on the pool deck, walking down a hallway. The location listed was set to the ports where our ship had stopped. I checked my own email and found the same thing. Someone had made a profile for me too. Both profiles were created from the same IP address. Sarah did some digging because she works in IT. The IP traced back to the cruise line's network, specifically to their ship-to-shore internet system. We reported it to the dating site, and they deleted the profiles. But then we started finding more. Different sites, different platforms. Someone had harvested our information during that cruise and was using it to create fake profiles. We weren't the only ones either. Other people from that leaked crew chat started coming forward with similar stories. The worst part came 2 weeks ago. Sarah found a forum. I won't say which one because I don't want people going there, but it's one of those places where people sell and trade unauthorized videos and photos. There was a whole section dedicated to cruise ship content. The preview thumbnails were blurred, but you could see enough. Bathrooms, bedrooms, private moments. One of the posts had a description that mentioned specific dates. The exact dates of our cruise. The seller was using the ship's port schedule to verify the footage was real, proof of authenticity. Sarah recognized a bathroom in one of the preview images, the tile pattern, the towel rack position. It looked exactly like ours. We can't prove it's from our cabin. The preview is too blurred, and we're not paying to access the full content. But the dates match, the ship matches, and that tile pattern isn't common. I reported it to the FBI's Cybercrime Division 3 days ago. Haven't heard back yet. Probably won't. The cruise line never contacted us again after that first call. We're in arbitration now, trying to get them to take real action, but our lawyer says it's an uphill battle. Maritime law is complicated, and their terms of service protect them from almost everything. I can't stop thinking about that tablet under our bed. How long had it been there? Who put it there? Was someone coming into our cabin while we were gone? Is that why things kept moving? And those cameras in the hallways? They're still there, still recording. On every cruise ship right now, there are probably thousands of cameras pointed at thousands of cabin doors. And somewhere, someone is watching those feeds. Zooming in on the windows, waiting for someone to forget to close their curtain. We got an email last week. Another cruise deal. 70% off for loyal customers. Sarah deleted it without opening it, but I saw the subject line. It said, "We'd love to see you again soon." I haven't slept right since.